Good morning, everybody, and thank you for coming in for the news conference. Today is to bring you up to date, up to speed on what's occurred since the shooting last week in Mifflin. I want to thank everybody who played a role in responding and supporting our community after the tragic events on May 28th. Many of the agencies you see behind us, we spoke with the Attorney General Dave Yost this morning, who sends his appreciation for all the work that's been taking place and his condolences to those affected by the shooting. You also see in attendance a lot of the officials here. We have, and in the room, we have Chief Bryant from CPD. We have Marshal Black from U.S. Marshal Service, and a lot of the OSPs represented here. It was an all-out effort to catch Mr. Dixon after shooting the two Mifflin Township officers. I want to thank the public for their outpouring of support. A lot of the information was very, very useful that they shared with our investigators. Mifflin Township and Obetz, I want to emphasize, are wonderful communities within our county. Even though a lot of the events occurred within those communities, I don't want somebody forming an opinion or looking down on those communities. This is one person acting on his own. The communities have been very supportive of law enforcement, and we really appreciate everything they've done for us. I'm proud of the work being done by our investigators. They put in countless hours last week, had to make them go home and get some rest. And I want to stress that the work is not over. Even though we have Mr. Dixon in custody, now the work begins on putting this investigation together and prosecuting him in court. Please keep in mind, throughout the entire incident that occurred, no shots were ever fired by law enforcement, not the night of the event when it occurred, not the subsequent search warrants, not even at the apprehension site. And to me, that's amazing that not one shot was fired by law enforcement. It shows the restraint and the training that we go through to protect the community. There were a number of families, kids, just people in the area in Obetz when Mr. Dixon decided to fire random shots just throughout. He didn't care about hurting anybody in the community. He just cared about himself, but we do care about the community. And I want to congratulate law enforcement for showing that restraint. At like this time, I'd like to follow the same process we did earlier or last week. Each speaker is going to come up. When they get done speaking, they'll introduce the next speaker. If you would hold your questions to the very end, and then when they're all done speaking, then you can have the questions and answer time. At this time, I'd like to ask my Major Nate Smith, who's in charge of the investigative subdivision, to come forward and bring us up to speed on what's taking place. Major.
Thank you, sir. My name is Major Nate Smith. I'm going to update you on what's happened since May 28th, the night of the shooting. As the sheriff said, if you recall back to that press conference, there was hundreds of officers there that showed up for that site, and those officers did not stop until Mr. Dixon was apprehended. Hundreds more worked together from all the agencies you see behind me, and a lot more. They're almost too much to mention, but through their investigative measures, we were able to apprehend him on Friday evening. So on Wednesday, May 28th, as you know, Mr. Dixon fired on two Mifflin Township officers. We do believe he fled on foot, and he took shelter in a residence nearby that was either inside or very near the perimeter that was set up. He did have help. And it wasn't until the following day that we had developed enough probable cause to execute a search warrant at a residence in that area. The Franklin County Sheriff's Office SWAT team, along with the U.S. Marshals, executed a search warrant at that residence on Woodland Drive, I believe, on the following day on May 29th. He was not there. He had left and had help leaving there. He was disguised and went to another residence. Our investigative measures tracked him to two other residences that were possible on Cedar Drive down in southeast Columbus. Another two search warrants were executed at those residences, again, by the Franklin County Sheriff's Office, SWAT team, SIU, and the U.S. Marshal Service. Again, he was one step ahead of us, but we were able to develop enough probable cause to ultimately lead us to Thelma Drive later that evening, where he was found and apprehended. Again, the same agencies were working together to execute those search warrants. Upon executing those search warrants, Mr. Dixon was inside the residence along with Ms. Jayla Call and 3 juveniles. Ms. Call and the juveniles had left the residence upon the SWAT team making their approach. Mr. Dixon was observed inside and he ultimately barricaded himself. Because of the children that were running around the neighborhood, it's a kind of a small apartment complex there, and the children that were being pulled from the residence, SWAT and the U.S. Marshal Service and SIU did retreat to a safe space and tried to negotiate with them to come out. Unfortunately, Mr. Dixon started firing shots at our officers, at least 3 to 5. That's all been determined right now through ballistics. But there were rounds fired at our officers, and he will be charged with additional charges for those shots. None of our officers were hit, and as the sheriff said earlier, none of our officers fire because it was not safe to do so. Eventually, the SWAT team made a secondary approach to the residence, and Mr. Dixon alone inside the residence with a firearm, a rifle, and what appeared to be a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head and neck area. We understand now is he is still remains in critical but stable condition, and he's under 24-hour guard. That's where we are right now with the investigation. I'd like to again extend my thanks to the U.S. Marshal Service, an integral part. Our partnership made this happen. And I'd like to introduce U.S. Marshal Michael Black.
Good morning. Thank you, sir. First, thoughts and prayers for Deputy Daniel Shear, his family, and the Morrow County Sheriff's Office as they prepare to lay one of their own to rest on Wednesday, and also to the 2 Mifflin Township police officers and their families. The effort put forth by our Southern Ohio Fugitive Apprehension Strike Team, local, state, and federal partners was exceptional. The determination, coordination, and tenacity they all demonstrated is the reason we were able to locate this violent fugitive. I continue to be so proud of the U.S. Marshal So Fast team and our law enforcement community. Unless you've been involved in a situation like this, it's hard to understand how much collaboration and attention to detail is required. Unfortunately, we have been tested several times in the last few months with the continued acts of violence against officers and our community. Each time, our relationships, collaboration, and sharing of resources and information enable us to work through these extremely volatile situations. As the Major said, this team was not going to stop until Dixon was apprehended. For those that choose to use violence against one of our law enforcement family, know this: we will not stop until you are apprehended and brought to justice. Thank you all for being here today. At this time, I'd like to introduce Chief David Briggs from the Mifflin Township Police Department.
Good morning. I want to first start by giving an update on the officers. Both are continuing to recover from the traumatic injuries they sustained in the line of duty. While the road ahead will take time, we are grateful to report that their condition is stable and their resilience has been nothing short of inspiring. Today, I'm relieved and thankful that Dixon, the individual wanted for the attempted murder of my officers, has been taken into custody. Dixon posed an extreme threat to the public, even attempting to open fire on the officers who bravely moved in to apprehend him. His capture is a testament to the courage, precision, and teamwork of the men and women in law enforcement who never back down from their mission to protect our community. I want to express my deepest gratitude to every agency and officer who played a role in this operation. This includes the FBI, the Franklin County Sheriff's Office, Columbus Division of Police, the U.S. Marshals, and so many others who answered the call. Special thank you goes to the tactical officers who confronted Dixon and put their lives on the line to ensure he could no longer harm anyone else. We're also grateful to the Central Ohio Crime Stoppers and the Fraternal Order of Police Capital City Lodge Number 9 for their offering reward money, which greatly aided in keeping public attention focused on locating this dangerous fugitive. Finally, to the medics and fire personnel who responded swiftly and provided critical care to our wounded officers, thank you. Your professionalism and speed undoubtedly saved lives. We will continue to support our injured officers and their families throughout their recovery, and we will always stand behind those who risk it all to keep our community safe. Thank you. I'd like to introduce Kevin Cavender, Mifflin Township Trustee.
Morning, everybody. I'm Kevin Cavender. I'm trustee for Mifflin Township. As Chief Briggs stated, I want to thank all the bureaus that helped us, the Franklin County SWAT, the sheriffs, CPD, ATF, BCI, marshals, and all of the officers that did not stop until Mr. Dixon was apprehended. I want to thank all the insurgents at Grant Hospital that didn't give up on our officers and helped them. We're in the hospital in 2 days, and I appreciate that. I also want to say that at 1100 hours this morning, we swore in a new officer for Mifflin Township. I talked to her Wednesday evening at the hospital, and I asked her if she still wanted to do it, and she said, swear me in right now. And that just goes to show you the dedication of first responders. It's in our blood. That's just what we do. We go toward danger when everybody else is running away. Story doesn't stop here. I'm asking the news media to go after the judges. They let these people out on bail. He should never have been let out. We're a small department. We don't have 2 officers sitting around to put on the street. You know, they should be held liable. We need to put 2 more officers higher. We don't have the money just to throw out and grab 2 officers. The chief has a list of people that want to come work for us. We don't have the money to do it. So these judges should be held liable to pay damages. If police officers did something wrong, they want them laid off. They want them fired. They want to try and put them in jail. Nothing happens to these judges. They just say, oops, I made a mistake. I shouldn't have done that. And they go on to the next case. That needs to end. So I'm asking the news media to help us get that story out. It doesn't end today. It's just a new chapter of the story. So now I would like to introduce Brian Steele, CPD, president of Lodge 9.
Thank you, sir. Worst parts about going last is most of the stuff is talked about, so I'm going to keep it relatively short. Our members stepped up. The FOP members, they stepped up. We were in this room last week, and it was more of a somber time. This is actually a celebration. We got our bad guy in custody. Cannot thank the members of the FOP and our federal and state partners. A lot of good rivalry, right? I'm a cop. I like to make fun of OSP guys. OSP guys make fun of feds. Every single person in this room would lay down in traffic for the other cop, and it's outstanding, and it showed. Everything was courageous, professional, and mission-focused. Central Ohio Crime Stoppers, they were outstanding. The FOP said, we're going to put up some money. Crime Stoppers said, we're going to match that. The FBI said, we're going to throw up some money. The amount of tips and calls I received personally to the FOP is overwhelming. Community members saying, hey, I want to help any way I can. What can I do? Can I bring the officers' family food? This community overwhelmingly supports their police. You can never tell me any other way. I would not believe it. It is amazing the level of support that we received for these officers. I stood in front of you last week and I told you my priorities. My priorities was ensuring that our member recovers. My second priority was ensuring this individual is apprehended. Now the third and final we talked about is how did this happen? For most of these law enforcement officers, they're going to go on to their next mission. This does not end here with the FOP. This just starts. We want to know how this individual was released. This is an individual who had 11 to 16 years on the shelf and was given community control. That was an agreement. That was an agreement by the defense attorney. I'm sure the defense attorney loved that agreement. We want to know why the prosecutor agreed. The statement from the prosecutor's office was, besides looking at the violent crimes, which his past was kidnapping, ag burglary, weapons, domestic violence, fleeing. Besides that, we're going to look into how old he was, 21, and that he was from an impoverished community. I do not know what that means. The majority of this violent offenders' victims were from impoverished communities. The criminal justice system, we're going this route where the violent offender has more rights than the citizens in their own community. I've said it once, I'll say it again. Crime is a cancer. You have to eradicate it or it will continue to the townships, to the suburbs, and it will not stop. I have so much faith in the men and women of law enforcement in Central Ohio area. Now we have to turn that over to the prosecutor's office, who we have a new prosecutor. Most of these failures were under Gary Tyak. That's simply how it is. I'm hoping the new prosecutor will step up and do the job Ron O'Brien did, and we will not see crime the way it is. With that, I'll stand for any questions. Yes.
Major, I've got a question for you. One person has been charged so far for helping Mr. Dixon. Do you anticipate more charges for those people who are helping him?
We are, it's currently under investigation. We are aggressively pursuing anybody who had any part in helping him evade capture. We will aggressively pursue them until we make sure they see the inside of a jail cell.
Do you know where he got the additional guns?
Not right now, we do not.
Major, you mentioned a few different addresses which led you guys to execute those search warrants. How helpful were community tips in leading you guys to those and ultimately that final address?
In this circumstance, the majority of the information that we had was obtained through investigative measures. We did have some tips that came in from the community after it already happened, which tended to be pretty accurate. The only issue was that the majority of the tips came in after we had already apprehended him. So,
do you know what the relationship was between Dixon and this call?
I'm sorry.
Do you know what the relationship was between Dixon and this call?
No, I do not.
If Mr. Dixon used lock switch last Wednesday during the initial traffic stop.
And that's being determined by BCI. They do all the ballistics on the firearm, and I've not yet seen a report to that.
I'll invite the sheriff up next.
I'll take any questions. I just want to echo some pretty powerful statements today about what's happened in the past week. Tough week for law enforcement. 3 major incidents occurred within Central Ohio. But I think we all agree that crime has risen to the unacceptable rate. And we all need to come together and figure something out to lower crime in our communities and elsewhere. With that, do you have any questions for me, anybody?
Do you know if it appeared when SWAT officers located Mr. Dixon Friday night, if he was trying to escape, or if he, obviously he was shooting at officers, but was he trying to flee in any capacity?
Well, given the events from the shooting, the way he fled, the way he was trying to evade continually, I'd say yes. And I think the firing the shots at law enforcement at the scene was just a continuation of that. He wasn't going anywhere. Like Marshall said, we're going to pursue you. We're going to find you. You're not going to hide any place at all. But that just shows the desperation of shooting, not caring who he might hit. Like I said earlier, there's kids, there's people walking all around out there, and shooting a rifle in those circumstances, it's just by the grace of God, nobody else got hit.
Were the children at the house, did they just there, or do you think that he was using them to
I'm not sure we know the answer to that.
the self-inflicted gunshot wound? Do you know if it's possible that that was accidental?
I think that'll be determined throughout the investigation. Anything could be possible, but all we really know is it was self-inflicted, serious wound.
Is there any more information on who the driver of the vehicle was on Wednesday?
On the initial stop, when it all happened, they have the driver's information. They actually interviewed him that night, and I'll add he was cooperative that night.
Chief, can I ask how about your officer I imagine you have visited him at Grant. Is he still there? How is he doing?
He is still in the hospital. He actually went in for a third surgery yesterday. Came out. He is in stable condition. Long road ahead, but things are looking better.
We've heard a few times about the community support, the law enforcement support. Are you guys planning any sort of fundraiser or anything the community can do on that long road ahead?
There's already several organizations that are up and running, helping with different things. I know the FOP has set up a meal train for the families. There's several other organizations that Mr. Steele can probably tell you about, but I'm sure there will be some fundraisers in the near future and other things of that nature to try to help out the families of the officers.
You can text Mifflin PD to 50155. That's 50155 and just the word Mifflin PD. That will go to the FOP Foundation. 100% goes to the 2 officers that need some help right now.
Chief, when we drove by your police department on Friday, we saw cruisers from other departments. Are you still getting help from other departments?
Yes, the Columbus Division of Police, the Franklin County Sheriff's Office, and the Clinton Township Police Department are all taking calls in Mifflin Township right now. The Sheriff's Office has basically guaranteed their unwavering support throughout this. I know that they're putting extra staff. I mean, and these are big things for these agencies because they are paying for this out of their budget, all the overtime and things of that nature. Clinton Township, Franklin County, they're all coming together to help us, and it is greatly appreciated. So yes, the community is being taken care of by other agencies, and they will continue to do so for the near future.
How's the morale of your men and women after this update?
I mean, obviously it's tough to be a member of our agency right now. It's tough to be a member of any law enforcement agency. I mean, like I said, we are all one big family. So when something happens to one, it happens to all. So everyone is struggling. But my remaining officers are positive. Like the trustee had stated, we had an officer that we were going to swear in later this week after this incident happened. She actually came forward, said, hey, let's get this done earlier. So we do, I think I received 4 applications in my email the day after the incident happened. So, I mean, everyone's, we enjoy what we do. We enjoy serving the citizens that we serve. We enjoy, working in the community. In Mifflin Township, we are big on community policing. We do drive around the neighborhoods. We stop, we get out, we talk to people. It's not uncommon for one of our officers to stop in one of the apartment complexes when the ice cream truck's coming through and buy ice cream for all the kids in the area. We give out bicycle helmets and ice cream, so the officers are getting out, they're getting into the community. They're letting everybody know that we're here as much as we can be, and they're still doing the community policing and letting them know that, hey, we're here for you, and if you need anything, to let us know.
Brian, do you know anything about the reward money, if any of that was paid out?
I'll defer to Crime Stoppers. I have a meeting with them later this week to kind of talk about and how we can improve the relationship, how we can bring in more money, and that's a question I'll ask them.
We've heard, this could be for anyone, we've heard a few times calling out the judges. What would you like to see them do following this incident?
I'll jump in there. Let's first admit that what we're doing is not working. This is not the first time I've stood here and I've been upset over a judge's decision. If any judge thinks that they're getting it right 100% of the time, that's an issue. In law enforcement, we don't get it right 100% of the time. And I like the word reform. Reform's not taking everything you do and throwing it out. It's taking what you do and let's try to make it better. So we need to sit down. It's got to be everybody at the table. It has to be the judges, has to be law enforcement executives, has to be the Fraternal Order of Police who represents the men and women and advocates for the community we serve. The prosecutor's office, let's just get together in a room and admit that there is a problem and how are we going to make it better. You cannot let people like this walk on the streets or you're going to continue, you'll continue to victimize.
Are they up for that request to sit down all together? Is that request being made?
Well, I have a feeling after every one of you print this in your respective news agencies, that will have some leverage and pressure. And if not, they're going to be answering to you guys.
I just want to follow up on that and keep in mind, a lot of judges do a really good job. I mean, they're really dedicated. They do a great job. And there's a lot of people that do deserve a break, second chance. We do that in the jail. We have programs try to divert people so they make themselves better. It's the violent people that we worry about. It's the people that have demonstrated they are violent, they have past violent crimes, yet they come back out. That's the concern. We know that's the danger. If there's no more questions, we'll go ahead and conclude the conference today, and I appreciate everybody's covering it. Thank you.